It's not only Kenya, but it's Zambia have done exactly the same. The first thing that they realized is the ability to professionalize first. But professionalization is, there are two ways of creating professional bodies. There is what we call the non-statutory. The non-statutory is where we come together as colleagues in the fraternity and we form a professional body, but that professional body operates on the goodwill of the members. There's nothing protecting them. The second one is the statutory body. The statutory body, it gets its strength from Parliament. There's an act of Parliament that supports that. So it's a process that they have to go through. Now, in there, the professional body then becomes the mouthpiece on behalf of its members. It also holds its members to account. So it protects those that get victimized for doing the right things, because they are drawing their strength from the act. But it also penalizes its members who do not align to its code of conduct. So that's where the protection comes in. It's not only protecting, but it penalizes bad behavior among its members. So they draw their strength from the act. Zambia has done that very well, and Kenya is doing that very well. Ghana is going through that process. As we speak, they've got a bill before Parliament to deal with those aspects. Thank you. I hope I've answered you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mlets, for a wonderful presentation. You know, you have been mentioning the issue of poor planning. There is a very nice way that you have been saying it, but it takes us to the point of saying that deviations probably are related to the issues of poor planning. And you know, that is challenging me because we find ourselves from time to time having to do deviations due to different reasons. Now, is there a way or some kind of advice that we could probably think about? Because I think the gist of what we've been saying is that deviations should be limited. They should be moving toward, they should be approaching zero from your presentation. Now, what strategies, what other, I would say, support kind of that we could use to ensure that we probably move next to zero in the issues of deviation, especially if it implies some kind of poor planning related to that? Thank you.
Sure. No, thank you so much, sir. There are quite a couple of things. The first one will be empowering procurement first. Empower procurement so that they move away from being reactional. Procurement becomes reactional because they adopt the concept of compliance and they misalign themselves with the output. So that's the first thing that we need to look at. Procurement must be strategic enough so that they align themselves with the needs of the institution. The second aspect is avoid the silo mentality within an institution. The silo mentality is very easy to see the silo mentality in an institution. It becomes a culture of protecting my back, okay? And you can easily see that in an institution where people are always saying, it's not my job. This is not my job. The procurement, they will wait for the end user to submit, and then that's why they start working. But one way of doing it, close the gap. Procurement and the end user must meet regularly. You've got your procurement plans. I'm assuming you've got your annual procurement plans that have been signed off. So we meet every month, and the agenda is going through the procurement plans. So that's number 2. Number 3 is developing different procurement methods and the frameworks thereafter. I'll tell you one framework procurement method that you may start looking at. It's called, it's 2 actually. It's called the framework agreements. Now the framework agreements allows us to pre-qualify service providers on particular commodities. You just check. 95% of the things that we buy are repetitive items anyway in our institutions. 95% generally are the things that we buy every year. But why do we always make the same mistake? It means our procurement method is not responsive to that. So you can come up with a framework agreement that then says, we've got 5 service providers who are ready should this happen, they come in. Somebody was speaking during the course of the week, I've been here since Monday, that there are annual events that we have. How does this annual event become an agent item? How does it become an agent item? We know it is there in the calendar, it's there. How does it become an emergency? So you see, some of these stuff are behavioral, things that we can actually overcome, okay? So let's come up with different procurement methods. The other one that probably the colleagues, they can develop frameworks around them. The other one is called the panels. Panels, P-A-N-E-L-S, panels. Panels, you've got suppliers that you pre-qualify, you agree with them, but you don't give them a contract. Are we together? They sit in your database. In the event that there is something that requires urgent reaction, you don't have to deviate because you already have this supplier that you have already approved. You have already agreed on the price. You would not buy this 500 mil. This is 500 mil. If you go to Pick and Pay, you buy this for 10 rand. But for your institution, you buy it for 50. Then there's something wrong. And the justification is the cheapest. Who said? It can be the cheapest, but it's not the best price. So these justifications come because it's urgent. So there are quite a number of aspects. To me, I'll limit myself to 3 for now. Develop an appropriate procurement method that will help us to respond to that. Number 2, elevate the role of procurement, hold them to account, okay? And number 3, have regular meetings. The agenda is the procurement plans every month. Thank you. I hope I've answered you, sir. All right. There's another hand. I think it's the last one.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. It was so informative. My name is Lunga from Parliament. My question is in relation to what you just said in passing, when you highlighted the fact that sometimes there could be outside influences within the procurement entities. Now, the issue is, how do you deal with a situation where those outside influences are powerful individuals. And those individuals are the very same persons whom we expect to bring in, say, corrective legislation, corrective policies. But instead of doing so, they're the ones using these entities to be a bridge in order to further their whatever corrupt motives. In such a situation, you ask the situation, where are we in Eswatini? Are we a Johnny Walker or we have arrived? Those are one of the issues I think we have to be mindful as a country, the issues of influences. Just want to get your feel on the issue of the outside influences.
Sure. I guess this is either political interference or whatever it is. It's a difficult one. The first thing is we know this saying, we say it in passing and stuff like that. The fish starts rotting or stinking from what? From the head. Now what do? Do you cut the head and throw it away and remain with the body? Then you have no problem. But we still need leadership. It's always very difficult. But my advice, what I've seen is we need to institutionalize. Institutionalization, it means we need to have a law that helps. People still have the law. Okay, we still have the law. But the other functions of government, organs of state, come in to complement. Within the South African context, we just had the Public Procurement Act signed by the President. It was a huge debate. I've been involved in the journey since 2020 when we had our first draft of the bill. It was not easy to insert these passages or paragraphs in the Act. It will go, it comes back, it's removed. It goes, it comes back, it's removed. But the final one, so with the accounting officer remains accountable to whatever is going to transpire within the institution. It even goes on to say, should a procurement person be forced, the procurement person must elevate to a tribunal. There's a tribunal that is being suggested, which is independent from the government system. And also, the accounting officer will then face the consequences. We are yet to see whether this is going to be implemented, but at least there is some political will to deal with it. I think I will suggest that let's start there, because without the legal framework, it's not going to work at all. Because we also need to be protected, isn't it? We also need to be protected. Whistleblowers, they don't work. People get killed. Whistleblowers, they don't work. It's because everyone thinks procurement is a fertile land for becoming rich. And they are reluctant to fix it. So let's work with the politicians. Let's work with them. Sometimes they don't understand what we are doing. They stand at the podium, they promise people, they leave, then they expect things will be done. Oh, tomorrow there will be 5 houses built, tomorrow. But we know that it's not easy to build houses overnight. They've made a statement. Now they say, make it happen. Does that statement mean break the rules? No. So it means now we need to sit down now and say, okay, yes, we are going to build, but this is the process that we are going to follow. Are we together? We need to find each other in the conversations.